Hello everybody and welcome into the NOMA Truck Series live from the Brickyard. That's right, it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we got another good one in store for you here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying is complete, so let's head right down trackside and get things started with tonight's starting grid. Justin Parham, he takes the pole in the number 19 truck here tonight for Grandstand Racing. On his outside, it's going to be Zach Stevens, last week's winner. Can he go back-to-back? We'll find out. David Traylor starts third here tonight. That's another one of the Grandstand Racing drivers. Evan Schilling to his outside in fourth. It's going to be Matthew Fritz and Bill Hales making up row number 3 with Jay Stinson and Joey Hickox, two of the Venom Racing drivers in row 4. Mark Beverly starts from the 9th spot here tonight with Keith Prince in 10th. Sam Boutwell back in 11th. It's going to be Jesse Calloway starting in that 12th spot and rounding out row number 6. Row 7 is going to be Jonathan Herbert alongside Derek Catt. How about John Buwalda in 15th with Chris Melton in 16th? Kenneth Redinger back in 17th. He's going to have some work cut out for him here tonight. Brody Benty makes a return after missing last week. He will start 18th here tonight. And Chase Greer in 19th. And I might have misspoke on Brody missing last week. I don't remember. I know we had a couple of these guys that weren't here and then a couple that were here that aren't here this week. So either way, it's going to be a good one. It's about a 20-car strong field. And before we get any further now, let's bring up your race info and take a look at what the format's looking like here tonight. It's the H&H Tractor Work 200 for the NOMA Truck Series. 90 laps going to be the distance, which is actually a little bit over 200 miles. 75% fuel, 4 sets of tires. That includes the one that you start this race on. One fast repair if you need it. Fixed setups as always. And there is 2 stages. Stage 1 will end at lap 20, the end of lap 20 rather. Stage 2 at the end of lap 40. And we've got 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, one of the crown jewels in all of stock car racing. 2.5 miles in length, 117 degrees, going to be the starting track temp here tonight. A little bit of banking in these corners, and there is almost like a short shoot is what drivers like to refer to it as, down in these corners where you see they go through turn 3, and then there's a little bit of a short shoot before they get off into turn 4. It's a very interesting track, heavy drafting down the straights, and a lot of single file through the corners. We'll see who can prevail here tonight. 82 degrees outside, clear skies, winds at 2 miles an hour, perfect day for racing. And we are ready to go. All right, here we go as the pace car will make its way off of turn 4. Field now in the hands of Justin Parham and Zach Stevens. And again, I know we talked about Zach Stevens was your winner last week and how big of a race that was for him. And, you know, despite the fact that that race in of itself was a momentum generator, now he comes into a race like this and gets himself on the front row. It's going to be a tough one here tonight. All right, here we go. For the first time at the Brickyard this season, green flag is in the air. We're underway at Indianapolis. Lap 1 is in the books, and it goes to the 19 of Justin Parham, who's got a lead right now over Zach Stevens and David Traylor. And those three have actually already checked out on the field just a little bit here by about 0.7 of a second. Further back, looked like that was Joey Hickox slipping up a little bit there through turn 1. He'll have to forfeit that spot to his teammate Matthew Fritz, who sneaks by on the inside. And right now, if you're Joey Hickox right here, you see as he gets run back, and this goes for everybody back here, you see those 3 leaders pulling away. This is not time to race. This is time to try to work with somebody else to get up there. As now you see David Traylor, he's actually going to fade just a little bit. And the big goal here tonight is going to be all about keeping that momentum. When you lose it here, it is so tough to get it back, and we're going to hop on board early here with one of the drivers carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. But before we get to that, let's take a look at his dashboard speed here. David Traylor, again, we talked about these straightaways. They are very long, similar to the length of Daytona International Speedway and Talladega Super Speedway. And that means a lot of drafting, high speed. You want to stay tucked in line to catch any of the guys in front of you. And you see about 180 just before they got down into turn number 1. And down in these corners, though, all the way down to 160 takes the short shoot. And the big thing here is Notice how everybody's trying to keep these left side tires either right on that white line or maybe just dip just below it, and that's going to get tougher to do as the tires start to wear out. Clean air is going to be a huge factor, and so right now I think if you're Justin Parham, who continues to lead this race here with just 3 laps complete, you're going to have to fight extra hard here tonight to try to maintain it. I think it's going to pay big dividends, and if you're Zach Stevens right now, he's okay with not getting too racy. As long as that truck is handling pretty good, he's going to see if he can continue to push Parham out, but oh, look at this. That's the other mistake that you can make here is if you don't get down into the corner and hit that apex just right, you're going to have exactly what happened to the 33 right there. He got a little high, got into the marbles, and that truck did not turn. He lost 1 position, may lose 2 here as his teammate Matthew Fritz. He thought about taking a look, but he thinks better of it as he'll quickly duck back down in line as they work their way through turn 1. By the way, good to see everybody in here tonight. Saw a couple people already chatting it up. Mark Stevens, Nancy Hickox, good to see you guys. Hope you're having a good Saturday night. Again, last week was our first week back here on the broadcast, and boy, what a great race we saw at Kentucky with a tribute race to Zach Stevens' family member, Mike Stevens, and he was, of course, able to grab the win in that, so if you missed out, that's really the only thing you missed out on. Didn't have that many cautions, all things considered. A couple near the end, but it was a very, very good race, a clean race with some pitch strategy involved, and hoping to see more of the same here tonight. As again, stage 1 is 20 laps, and if you look at fuel mileage here and how far drivers can go, it's going to be kind of close, but you figure 75% fuel at a track that's similar length to Daytona or Talladega, at least in these trucks, I would say, I think they're going to be good to go. I think they'll make it through this first and second stage without having to pit for fuel, although for some reason if we do see them go in this first stage, then that's probably going to be pretty indicative of what they are going to have to do in that second stage. 5 of 90 laps complete, mostly single file, but a little bit of 2x2 action further back here. I think that was Sam Batwell or Chase Greer who slipped up out of the groove and now almost trouble further back, as that was actually the truck just behind Chase Greer, Jonathan Herbert. He's trying to gather it back up as he had a couple of moments there through 1 and 2. And he is going to lose a position here to Brody Benty, rocking the 63 Canes paint scheme. As further back, John Espualda, currently the last car running on track. And right now for the 5, and not just him, but Derek Catt, they are a long ways back from the leaders here. Don't think they're in danger of losing a lap here, especially in this first stage, as long as everything goes green, but probably going to be hoping for a caution the way things are going right now. Back up front we go. Justin Parham continues to lead. By the way, towards the middle portions of the pack right now, we find ourselves in 8th place and up 2 positions from where he started this race at. The 1 truck of Keith Prince running a special paint scheme here tonight. And as we'll try to get a little bit of a zoomed-in shot on that 1 truck for everybody to see. Good-looking color scheme and a good cause to support for Keith Prince with Deaf Awareness Month. And it's going to mean a lot to him, just as it did last week for one driver, if he can find a way to victory lane this week. But either way, you love to see when drivers run a scheme. I remember a couple seasons back when Paul Witt had actually ran a scheme in support of Autism Awareness Month. And it's good to see guys still running schemes for good causes. And Keith Prince tonight, if we had a paint scheme contest, my vote is going to go for that 1 truck. As again, right now, he's up 2 positions, and he might be getting a lot more TV time to show off that beautiful paint scheme if he continues the trend he's on right now, as he currently runs in a group of Chevys and Fords, 3 behind, 1 in front. But for Justin Parham, he's now actually broken away a little bit here from David Traylor. Not enough to completely pull away from that draft that Traylor's able to grab off of him, but oh man, just as I say it, you saw that big slide off of turn 2. And for Justin Parham, and realistically at a track that I expected most drivers to have issues with the front end of their race trucks getting tight, seems like maybe the opposite right now for Justin Parham is, man, the back end of that truck was really slotting around as he came off the corner. Let's see if it does the same here off of 4. And he's able to get down, and quite a bit of throttle time in these trucks here. There's not a lot of off-throttle time besides entry to the corner, and he looked a lot better off of 4. Now you see he's going to kind of work around down the front stretch, see if he can break that draft up a little bit here. Traylor's going to follow, won't let him do that. And you can see on your scoring tower there, closes up by almost a tenth, if you will, down the straightaway in terms of that gap between Parham and Traylor, who is still utilizing that draft. And I still think that there are plenty of trucks on this track right now, drivers that are actually saving tire and have purposely not made their way to the front just yet, as they're going to wait till maybe we get halfway through this run and then try to turn it up a little bit. Question is that maybe a little bit too long, and do you have enough time to get up there if you decide to wait that long? Zach Stevens, who sits in 3rd, him and his teammate Matthew Fritz, if they can get locked up here, they can maybe try to do a little bit of drafting towards the front too, with David Traylor and Justin Parham still leading the way. And then Joey Hickox, Jay Stinson currently sit back in 5th and 6th. Remember, it was a good week overall for Venom Racing last week. Of course, they did get that 1-2 finish. They're looking to do more of the same here tonight, as again, right now, they've got just about all their drivers currently sitting well inside the top 10. And then Mark Beverly, one of the drivers that we see in both the NOMA Truck Series and the Asphalt Outlaw Racing Xfinity Series this season. He's got himself a good run going so far as he's broken into the top 10. The driver out of Salem, Ohio, currently sits in 7th. And that beautiful Asphalt Outlaws Racing Ford F-150. This is kind of cool, too. We saw this trend actually in the race last night. If you remember back to the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Clash, where the NOMA guys were running NOMA paint schemes in that league, and it seems like tonight here in this league, it's kind of the opposite. You can see some of the Asphalt Outlaw Racing paint schemes that are being ran, but so far 9 laps complete, and things have been really cut and clean so far. Nobody with any issues. We've had a lot of great racing, and as things continue to single file out, the gap between these drivers is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as we are now officially just about halfway through stage number 1. David Traylor, he has now made his way back towards the front. He's going to be looking to potentially challenge here Justin Parham in a few laps. And we talked about maybe one of the reasons that this 54 faded back, and maybe a lot of the reason the other drivers didn't go. Oh, man, hold on to it. Justin Parham, man, he is really struggling with the back end of that truck. Can't make adjustments. Remember, this is fixed setups. All he can do is hope that when he gets a new set of tires, this straightens out. But, man, he is all over the place. In that 19, you can tell that he had been getting on the throttle early. And, you know, part of the issue right here, and I know this starts to get maybe a little bit more detailed than most people watching at home probably care to hear, but I'm going to say it anyway, is if you think about it, out front, Justin Parham, he's getting the cleanest air, right? So he's getting the most downforce on the front of that truck. And if he's getting better downforce on the front of that truck than David Traylor, he's going to be wearing out those front tires a little bit less, the rear tires a little bit more, whereas David Traylor, who's getting tight, maybe he's getting a little bit more even wear with the front and the rears. And in that case, even though it's working out right now for Parham, certainly looks like he's a lot looser in the back end of that race truck than David Traylor is. And man, David Traylor has closed this gap significantly. He is now almost knocking on the back door. Further back has anybody else caught up. Zach Stevens right now still sits just over 2 seconds back of those 2 leaders. Matthew Fritz still hanging with his teammate. And then, I mean, even back here, though, we're seeing a couple trucks with the same handling issues that we are seeing for your leaders. As watch Joey Hickox, the 1 of Keith Prince, and the 24 of Kenneth Redinger. As they get off the turn, I mean, that's about 3 different lines, and you can see all of them have to catch it just a little bit. And we got a pass for the 10th position. Evan Schilling here under fire from Chris Melton in the 49. One of the rookies who had a very good run last week, and tonight he's done even better so far as he's up 6 from where he started, and he will take that position away. By the way, different looking colors on the 77 of Evan Schilling than we're used to seeing last year in the Asphalt Outlaw Racing Truck Series. And by the way, I do want to kind of make a correction. I did misspeak last week on who your Season 5 champion was. And again, you know, this is something I got to do better on, but for what it's worth, sometimes, you know, some of these leagues kind of intertwine, and what actually happened is I mixed it up between the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series and the NOMA Truck Series, 2 leagues that we see a lot of the same drivers in. And I wanted to make the correction. David Traylor was the season champion last season for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series, but for the NOMA Truck Series, it was Justin Parham who, after sneaking his way into the Final 4, was able to go out and get the job done. So just wanted to make that correction for anybody watching. Do apologize again last week about that, but nonetheless, 12 and 90 complete now as they cross the line this next time. It'll be 8 laps to go here in stage number 1. And I know it's early, but man, right now, I think this 19 and the 54 are just really in a different zip code than anybody else. Matthew Fritz has found a way around his teammate Zach Stevens. Looks like Jay Stinson has as well. And in fact, for Zach Stevens here, handling of that truck must really be falling off as he is going in the wrong direction in a hurry. Now back to 9th. He's still in the top 10, and he's going to try to hold it there until we can get to the stage break. Now, I mentioned that for these drivers, one of the things they can't do is, of course, make adjustments to the trucks. It's fixed setups. And so really, the only way you can, I guess I would say, make adjustments, if you will, or try to change the handling of the truck is kind of wait till a fresh tire run and try to run it a little bit different. Maybe if you were going too aggressive at the start, try to save. If you felt like you didn't go aggressive enough, try to go a little bit aggressive at the start. And so we'll see what everybody decides to do. Who decides to pit during that stage should be everybody for 4 tires and fuel. But maybe the bigger question, does anybody try to pit a lap or 2 before this stage ends? Try to take tires, fuel, and then maybe flip the track position and see just how important that clean air has been tonight, as Parham proving that it has certainly been quite a key factor in him maintaining the lead. Ooh, we had one on the wall further towards the back there. Looks like they all gathered up. Couldn't tell exactly which truck that was. I think it was one of these guys sitting back in this 3rd group. And Brody Benty in the 63 under fire now from Chase Greer, who looks to the inside. Brody Benty way up the racetrack. Oh, the 63, man, almost into the wall. Actually, he does ram into it there as they come off of turn 2. Brody Benty, man, he was out of the throttle trying everything to get that truck to turn, but as soon as you get out of that rubber, it just does not want to make the corner, and Brody Benty learned that the hard way right there. By the way, we talked about how kind of the draft works on the straightaways, and certainly doesn't help the truck behind you down in the corners when you lose that front downforce, but you've been noticing here each and every lap as Parham continues to try to extend this lead. One thing that he continues to do is tries to snake this draft. And again, when you have long straightaways like this, we don't see it at tracks like Daytona and Talladega because it's too big of a pack. You can't break away from the draft. But here at Indianapolis, when you have these long straights, what you can do when things get single file like this is try to make that guy chase you around. Try to make him chase that draft. And the less draft he gets, the less he's going to be able to catch up down the straightaways here. But David Traylor still hanging strong. This gap kind of continues to fluctuate around. And I think if either one of them makes a mistake, it's certainly going to benefit the other. And so as we go back even further here, oh, Joey Hickox, big moment for the 3 truck. He holds on, but he's going to lose a position here. The 77 of Evan Schilling's going to go by, and he'll drop in. You can see all that momentum he lost here. I think he's kind of lucky that he has a teammate behind him there in Zach Stevens, or he could have potentially lost another spot right there. Stevens is going to cut him a break, though. Joey Hickox running the Flatwoods scheme for his Chevy Silverado tonight, but he's been struggling with the handling here quite a bit, and there was another driver who kind of had a break towards the end of last week after being in the back pretty much all race, flipped track position off of strategy, and man, we had another big moment there. These trucks continue to get more and more kind of out of shape here as each lap goes by, and these tires continue to wear out more and more. Uh-oh, Jesse Calloway, some brief trouble there. It looked like he blinked around just briefly. By the way, I think that was Bill Hales who we saw step out of line there off of turn number 4. Either way, you could kind of see that cutoff there, the separating wall from the pit road to the racetrack. And man, if you make a mistake and hit that, that could be race-ending damage, or at least going to lose a lap and have to use that fast repair. But so far, still so good. 16 of 90 complete. And we're going to be closing in on 4 laps to go for the stage when they cross the stripe this time. And David Traylor still not giving up. He's closed that gap up about 0.2 more from what it was last time we checked in on these two. And yeah, you can see that Traylor, I think he's decided it is go time. Starting to push that truck a little bit more as he starts to slide around. Big run this time, though, down the front stretch. Gets it to within 0.2 of a second. No move to be made that time. He'll stay in line behind this 19. And if you're David Traylor, and you can actually see him trying to do it, he has got to make sure that he gets lower than that 19. And to do that, he's trying to enter the corner a little bit sooner. Not really able to do it that time. And every time that Parham takes away his line, he loses just a little bit through the corner. No pressure out back for either of these two. The next closest truck is Jay Stinson in third, who sits about 4 seconds behind your 2 leaders. 17 of 90 complete now. As Parham leads Traylor into turn number 3. Traylor's going to fall back about another 1/10 of a second here. Got really tight off the corner that time. Justin Parham sees that. He's going to try to push the issue here as he sees that 54 struggling. Going to see if he can maybe pull away here and get a little more breathing room as we come to 3 laps to go. Traylor starts to close in again. You see how Parham tries to go to the inside. David Traylor, though, is not going to let him break that draft. Pulls it back down to 0.3 of a second now as they get into turn number 1. And while those two continue to race for the lead, we've still got the race for third. Mark Beverly now starting to put a little bit of pressure on Jay Stinson. Beverly now up 5 from where he started. And Kenneth Redinger, if you remember, the Grandstand Racing veteran, he started all the way towards the back of this field, and he has already made up 12 positions in just a 19-truck field. I mean, that is incredible from the start of this race, and to still be on the move towards the front. I mean, you think about the guys that have had handling issues just trying to maintain their positions, much less make up 12 spots and try to make up a couple more here before we get to the stage break. And this will be coming to 2 laps to go right here, so I believe the pits will get closed once the leaders cross the line. We'll see if anybody decides to bring it down to the pits this time here as we watch the pit lane 2 cam. As there goes Justin Parham and David Traylor, as a couple others will sneak by too. So far, it doesn't look like anybody's going to take a left turn to bring it down to the pits, so I believe that everybody is going to stay out and run this stage all the way through before they take their first set of tires and fill it up with gas. Traylor still hanging strong, 0.4 of a second behind Justin Parham, who has now got himself enough breathing room to maybe settle in and cruise to the checkered here in stage 1. Parham still trying to break that draft, though. He doesn't want to get too comfortable yet. Again, one mistake here can cost you easily 0.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds. And the gap right now is still only half a second. Further back, Joey Hickox. He's going to try to fend off Keith Prince here for the next lap and a half as they rocket down the back straightaway. Single file all the way back to the rest of the field. The main battling right now is within your top 10. Now we're going to get a little bit more up here. Kenneth Redinger looking to make the move for fourth here. Is he going to take it from Mark Beverly? Yes, he will. Redinger's going to get clear. He'll slide up in front of the 55. Oh, Mark Beverly gets turned. That's going to be a huge hit into the inside wall. Mark Beverly, as he rolls back up, comes to a halt. And that 55 truck is totaled. Oh, he might get hit again. Oh, my goodness. Oh, more trouble here as the 34 couldn't see it till the last second. Had to make an evasive maneuver down the racetrack. And that's more trouble, but this time it's for Jesse Calloway. As Mark Beverly's going to tow it, Calloway's going to get back rolling. We have our first caution of the night just before we made it to the stage, about one lap short. For Mark Beverly, this was a huge hit. And this all started with him just getting a little bit loose as kind of Redinger was looking to make that move. Or actually, I guess I should say as Redinger completed that move. And I believe this is going to be Chris Melton, who's going to get some contact here with the 55. Let's watch this again. But first, let's go to the chopper view here. And watch as they come off of turn 4. Beverly's trying to make this stick on the outside. He knows that he's got to try to slot in line here behind the 24 in front of the 49. And he's just a little bit loose. And if the 49's not there, he's probably able to kind of drive out of it. But as he goes down the racetrack, the 49's there, goes across the nose. And then, man, look at that impact for the 55. Front end completely ripped off of that truck. You saw the back tires off the ground when he made contact. And then right here, this got really, really sketchy. And actually, this view did the most justice here. Is watch these trucks. As they're all kind of filed in line behind each other, they just can't see the 55. He's kind of in the blind spot. And then right at the last second, Jesse Calloway sees it. Has to make that evasive maneuver to miss clobbering Mark Beverly, which he does, but unfortunately pays the price by tagging the inside concrete wall. And he's able to get back rolling here. Let's get a couple different looks at this here. First one's from the TV spectator view. Is they had a pretty good angle of that. Big hit for Mark Beverly. And I want to see if we can zoom this in a little bit more. Yeah, watch this from the pit cam. And this is going to do you pretty good justice of, watch the 55 here as he just gets loose. As they're coming off the corner, right there. Look at it. See how the truck's about 30 degrees there, pointed down towards the left, and then just nowhere to go. And boy, there's nowhere to run right here. He's going to lock the brakes, but it doesn't matter at this point. He probably hit that wall going about 170. And just, I mean, that's going to be a fast spare. You can see it totaled the engine out of that truck just about as soon as he hit it. And then right here, watch as Jesse Calloway's going to come along. And right there is when he ducks out of line. And man, lucky to miss Mark Beverly. That might have saved Jesse Calloway from having to use a fast repair. And again, if you're wondering, well, why didn't he see him? Why didn't he check up? Watch this from Jesse Calloway's view. So at this point, the caution is out. He sees some smoke, but then he gets in line behind the truck. And he's just following line, doesn't see anything. Oh, now he sees him, and man, such a close call. He's lucky he didn't hit the outside wall here as well. So we go back and give you another view or two of this before we go back live. There's that big hit again for Mark Beverly, and I thought he was coming right back up into traffic here when he slid back up. Thought that was going to be a whole lot worse than it initially was. And in fact, we'll give you the onboard view here for Mark Beverly. And this will give you another idea of kind of how loose he was getting. Watch the steering wheel. See it? Turn it back to the right. He's trying to catch it. And then boom, there's the big impact. So for Mark Beverly, big trouble early. Not the way the 55 wanted to end out stage 1 after having a relatively good run. Meanwhile, back up front we go. Your stage 1 winner is Justin Parham as he now makes his way back off the access road and onto the racetrack. David Traylor's in second, Jay Stinson in third. And you've got Kenneth Redinger in fourth and Chris Melton in fifth. All right, so as they catch the pace car here, we'll make sure that everybody is good to go, and then we'll see if we can pull in your stage 1 winner, Justin Parham, for a brief interview. By the way, looks like in the chat, Jake Busto says, wish I was on track tonight, but in Indianapolis for the NHRA races. Well, tell you what, Jake, that certainly sounds like quite a bit of fun as well. Nancy Hickok says, I'm guessing they all will make it to the pit stop at the stage caution. Indeed, they will. And so as they catch the pace car, looks like lights are still on. I believe they'll get the one to go as they come around this time. So let's see if we can pull in your stage 1 winner here, Justin Parham. Hey, Justin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you get the job done there in stage 1, but man, it's quite a fight all the way to the finish there between you and David Traylor. How was the handling of the truck?
Well, when we first went green, it was a little loose down into one, then it kind of got more balance in it, drove pretty good, and then it started getting pretty free into in the corners, or on the exit of the corners. It'd get a little free, and you'd want to lose the rear.
Yeah, certainly saw some of that from up here in the booth. And, you know, it seems like clean air is important just about any track we go to, but is there a little bit more of an emphasis on trying to stay in front and keep that clean air at a track like Indianapolis?
Well, I've been talking to David there, and he said it is pretty tight when you're behind somebody. So if it's as bad as he says it is, I'd say it would be pretty good if you could keep the track position for the clean air.
Well, you've done a good job of doing that so far here tonight. Good job on the Stage 1 victory. We'll see if we're talking to you again at the end of Stage 2.
Thank you, Austin.
All right, and mentioned David Traylor, who again is his teammate. That's one of the new additions to Grandstand Racing this season. And Justin Parham, yeah, I mean, you know, I know that he can't, you know, see it as well as we can from up here in the booth, but yeah, I would agree with David Traylor. It certainly looked like it was pretty brutal back there in dirty air. But the 54 did look strong, and I'm telling you right now, either of these two trucks that are lined up on the front row, Parham or Traylor, I think these are two of the fastest trucks, both with a shot to win it. Now, though, they've pulled up a third teammate with Kenneth Redinger as he's going to be restarting on that second row. Jay Stinson's up here, Chris Melton, a lot of drivers with a big opportunity. By the way, you see a lot of the NOMA banners on these trucks. A couple still have the regular Craftsman truck banner. But as the lights are off, again, we are going green this time, so if you're just tuning in, picked a good time to do it. By the way, the end of Stage 2 will be at the end of lap 40. And that's going to be, looks like about 17 laps from when we take the green flag right here. And then it's going to be probably about a 45 lap shootout all the way to the finish from there. Race distance a little bit longer here than it was last season. About 10 laps more, which translates to about 25 miles more, I do believe. And so if you're David Traylor here, you wonder, does he turn the aggression up just a little bit on his teammate to fight for that clean air? Or do they worry about trying to see if they can get not just themselves, but also Kenneth Redinger lined up here and maybe try to pull away from everybody else? We're getting ready to find out. Pace car pulls off back into the Geico restart zone. The engines will roar back to life here for the start of Stage 2 at the Brickyard. To the top of the racetrack, down into turn 1 goes the 19. Now he'll duck low as the 54 was able to slide into second. Jay Stinson holds on to third as Redinger is going to have to settle for fourth. Everybody right now is going to try to get in line here, try to catch a draft. Watch for people to make moves, though, down the back straightaway here as they all start to work onto the backstretch. Parham still out in front. Traylor's starting to get a run. He doesn't have much support out back. In the middle portions and back of the field, no moves being made yet. Looks like everybody's going to stay in line. Ooh, that causes some checking up there, and Joey Hickox, he's going to get the bad end of it right there. As man, even more checking up further back. Did everybody hold on to it here? Looks like they did. Now they're almost 3 wide as Sam Boutwell is going to be able to get back ahead of Bill Hales. The 34, Jesse Calloway, he's stuck up top. 63, Buddy Benty. Oh, man. A little bit of running out of room right there for the 63 as he kind of got squeezed into the outside wall. Brody Benty is going to lose a spot as Mark Beverly is going to catch his teammate right here. You see the 5 of John Buwalda. He's going to try to take advantage of this as now he'll go to the inside. Brody Benty is forced to go high again. Mark Beverly's just trying to help Brody catch a spot in line after really a big moment there off of 4. I thought that was getting ready to be our second caution, but they all hold on, so we're able to keep it green. Back up front, still single file here as they work into turn number 3, but Parham with the lead. Trailer has settled into second. And this is what you got to do. You wondered if, you know, I think once we get towards the end of the race, the restarts, you know, obviously will kind of get more aggressive, but I think at this point, everybody's general goal is, let me just settle in and save tire. They saw how out of shape these trucks started to get towards the end of stage 1. But even Parham, even though it's a teammate behind, he doesn't want him getting too comfortable. He continues to try to break the draft. Trailer with another big run here. Does he take a look to the outside into 1? No, he doesn't. He'll quickly bail out, try to get a bit of an arc, see if he can maybe undercut this 19. Now Parham slides a little bit. Ooh, Trailer cut him a big break. I thought for sure the 54 was going to take a peek there to the outside, but he doesn't. And it's all about setting yourself up for these long straightaways. The short shoot really only kind of serves as getting maybe a little bit of an extra pull. Just a brief one. Oh, one around. Oh, almost up and over is the 34 of Jesse Calloway. Truck quickly sets back down, and he's going to save it. Man, what a save for Jesse Calloway as he brings out our second caution of the night. And that truck, all things considered, doesn't look too bad. Scuffed up a bit on the left. A little bit on the right front and the right rear as well, but for a truck that got up in the air, he's certainly lucky that that's the extent of the damage here. So this was towards the back of the pack, so I believe there was some contact. And this is interesting because this could shake up strategy a little bit here. When we go back green, it's probably going to be somewhat around 10 laps to the end of stage number 2. And I think if you're a driver anywhere near the front, you don't pit. Maybe if you're towards the back, though, you try some strategy here and make a pit stop. We'll have to see, but nonetheless, let's go back and break down exactly what happened here for the 34 of Jesse Calloway. So he was running back, again, towards the back of the field here. This is Bill Hales. They're both going to get together here as Bill drops down. Ooh, just clips the right rear of the 34. That sends him into Sam Boutwell, and then watch as this truck gets back. Man, starts to lift up, but quickly able to set back down. And I think what, really kind of saved him right there was the fact that he hit the 47 before he got turned sideways. I think if the 47's not there, he takes a huge shot off the outside wall, and also that truck probably goes up and over as he was still at pretty good pace. But before we talk any more about that here, let's go to the chopper view and see if we can get more of an aerial idea of exactly. I think Bill Hales, was he maybe trying to split it 3 wide here? It's got to be my only guess here. As the 34, ooh, Boutwell gets loose. That's what happens. Boutwell gets loose. The 34 sees it, so he goes to the inside. Bill Hales is going to have a run here as well, so he's going to try to drop low. And you know what? I don't think that Bill Hales was trying to take it 3 wide. I think what he was trying to do was jump in behind the 34 and kind of go with him there to get around the 47, but just slightly misjudged it. And when he did, that's what causes him here to get into Sam Boutwell. As, boy, he was almost clear to slot in line behind, but just right there. Not quite. Slight contact, and then Boutwell there takes a hit in the left side door, but just barely scrapes the outside wall, so I don't think he gets any major damage. And then Brody Benty takes a bit of a detour through the grass. Mark Beverly sneaks around the outside, as does the 5 of Bawalda Jr. So again, no harm, no foul, but boy, this was a close call to a wild ride for Jesse Calloway as we take another view here. Gets into the door, and then watch this. Starts to get quiet there just briefly before it sets back down and locks it down. And I just cannot believe that the truck just kind of 360s right back around for him, and he doesn't hit anything. Usually that's not the way it works out here in Indy, but it certainly did right there. As we give you a couple more angles of this one here, I want to look at this from the TV3 view. And again, for anybody wondering why that truck kind of got off the ground, the trucks had the most recent update of the 3 major series, the Cup and the Xfinity Series, to get the new damage model update, which includes kind of the aerodynamic physics, if you will. And when the truck gets turned around that quick, even though it's a sim, the general idea is that the air starts to get under the truck. And when it does, it starts to get up in the air as he's kind of getting pushed by Bill Hales. But again, he had already scrubbed off enough speed after that contact between him and Sam Boutwell that there's no further incident. All right, so as we go back live at the front of the field, Justin Parham still being scored as your leader. David Traylor in second with Jay Stinson in third. Kenneth Redinger fourth. Chris Melton in fifth. Evan Schilling in sixth with Matthew Fritz in seventh. Zach Stevens eighth. Joey Hickox in ninth. And Chase Greer rounding out your top 10. So it looks like we'll get the one-to-go signal right here once they cross the line. So we're going to go back green with 30 of 90 laps complete. It'll officially mark 1/3 of the race complete. And will put us with exactly 10 laps to go. Actually make it 11 to go in stage number 2. Remember, Justin Parham was your stage 1 winner if you're just tuning in. And by the way, if you are, we certainly appreciate you being here. Hope that you're having a good time. And by the way, if you like what you see here tonight, of course, make sure that you do give us a follow. Certainly appreciate it. Make sure you check out the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series this season, as you see a lot of the same drivers in this one over there as well, and vice versa. And so if you're Justin Parham here, you know what? Actually, scratch that. If you're Justin Parham, you're doing the same thing you've been doing all race, and that's what works. Try to stay out in front, keep the clean air. But if you're David Traylor, again, I asked this on the last restart. Feel like maybe we didn't see it. See if that changes this time, but do you maybe be a little bit more aggressive, as you know that there's not, in hindsight, going to be that many laps left here in stage 2. And I know he's going to want some stage points, so we'll see how aggressive he's willing to be for it. And for the 19 of Justin Parham, he doesn't have a teammate lined up behind him. Meanwhile, David Traylor has the 24 of Kenneth Redinger lined up behind him. And so you know, maybe not a big deal at this stage in the race, but, you know, you get later on into those late restarts, there is pushing and shoving going on these restarts. And if you have a teammate behind you, you're going to be a little bit better coordinated. So for Justin Parham here, I think he's going to try to make sure he gets a pretty decent jump so that he can at least get in front of the 54. And don't be shocked if they try to get something coordinated here where that 24 is also able to get clear before they dive down into turn number 1. All right, 2x2 formation. By the way, Jesse Calloway, the truck involved in that last wreck, has done a couple repairs. You can see that that Scrub Daddy paint scheme looks like it needs a little bit of Scrub Daddy work there on the left side, as it's still pretty damaged up. And by damaged up, I guess I should say scuffed up, more so cosmetic damage than it is actual damage that's going to really affect the performance of that truck. Jesse Calloway, of course, one of the drivers that made it into the playoffs last season. Let's see what he can do this season. All right, here we go, 2x2 as they'll work back into the Geico restart zone. Field in the hands of Justin Parham, David Traylor. Green flag is back in the air, and it's a pretty good restart for the inside. Parham immediately gets clear, and he jumps up to try to pick up his 2 teammates. No 3 wide down into turn 1. They stay 2x2. It's a drag race, though, between Stinson and Traylor. Jay Stinson's going to push the issue here a little bit. He's trying to get clear of Traylor. He can't do it that time. He's got one more shot here through turn 2. He's really got to try to make it stick. Now they both start to wash up. Does the 54 hold momentum? Yes, he does. David Traylor, now he gets a pull of draft off his teammate. Traylor's going to be able to pull back clear. Jay Stinson has no choice but to shuffle in behind the 54 as they race off towards turn 3. Traylor, now he's got some work to do here. He's got to go track down his teammate, who's got a 0.3 of a second lead. Meanwhile, everybody else looks like has single filed out. The 47 of Boutwell, by the way, doesn't look like he really got that damage fixed up. He may have, but it certainly looks like there is still the same contact that he had during that caution. Doesn't look like they really beat that door out much. We'll see if that affects him at all here as 31 complete. Now it is officially 10 laps to go here in stage 2. Oh, Parham wiggled a little bit. That allowed Traylor to close the gap again. Off of 2, does he have enough momentum to try to maybe jump out of line here? You know that Stinson, not just Jay, but even Redinger and a couple other drivers here, they don't have to worry about saving as much tire now. With as many laps are left in the stage here, Chris Melton, he's going to try to push the issue here with a push from Matthew Fritz down the back. See if he can get closer to the front. And all this going on here, and again, they're all still going to have, I would say roughly, they should all have 3 tire sets left unless somebody took one here during this caution break. So you can afford to push it here, but what you can't afford to do is give up a bunch of track position. So if you're David Traylor here, you're setting up to move, but you're also trying to be very careful because we know how much time you can give up if you make just one mistake, get out of the groove through the turn, and get up the racetrack. He got into the dirty air right there, wasn't able to get the nose any lower than Parham. You saw he got a little bit tight. Single file still as Jesse Calloway now is going to try to see if he can fend off the 63 of Brody Benty. Benty got a little bit tight there, had to back out. By the way, Keith Prince, we talked about him earlier. He's actually lost a few positions on this restart. He is currently down 2 from where he started. But up front, this is still about a 5 to 6 truck race for the lead as you throw them all under a blanket. As nobody has really kind of walked away with this stage just yet, the way Justin Parham did, at least in stage 1. But I don't think Traylor's going to get too racy with his teammate here until they get some separation from everybody else. Jay Stinson, he has still not had to worry about Redinger trying to make a move yet. We'll see how long that 24 is content to stay in line. This is a track that some drivers love, some drivers hate, but you can see there's just really not many grooves to work with here. The restart has been really the only time that we've seen anybody make 2x2 work. Besides that, it's kind of single file to the bottom and try to get a better corner than the truck in front and set up a run. And the problem here for Redinger is even though he got a little bit of a better corner there and gets a run on Stinson, Stinson's also pulling draft on the 2 trucks in front. So as soon as Redinger tries to jump out of line here to make a move, he's just going to lose his position because Stinson will pull right back up to Traylor, and then Redinger, who doesn't have draft, is going to fall back pretty quickly. As they work off of turn 4 when they cross the line this time now, it'll be 7 laps to go here in stage number 2 as Parham trying to do what he did do at the end of stage 1, create just enough separation to see if he could cruise to the stage of victory. He's not been able to do it just yet. David Traylor is not letting his teammate go just yet. By the way, still the opportunity for anybody to potentially pit at the end of this stage and flip track position. Will we see anybody do it? Probably not. I wouldn't think so, especially with that third and final stage being kind of close on making it a one-stop on fuel. So I think everybody will just stay out and try to get whatever track position they can here via the stage finish, and then set up for what is going to be kind of a longer final stage. I mean, you're going to have to settle in. It's basically twice the distance, maybe a little bit more than what we saw here in stage 1 or 2. Man, David Traylor, he is all over the back bumper of Justin Parham still. I am surprised this 54 has not jumped that line to try to make a move just yet. So go back to the gyro cam. Saw he messes up just a little bit right there on his exit. He's not going to have to worry too much, though, as Stinson far enough behind where he's not going to be able to try to make a lunge. By the way, Redinger still sits in 4th. Chris Melton back in 5th. And then you've got Matthew Fritz in 6th, as he thought about trying to make a move there on the 49, but he wasn't quite able to get there as they got into turn 1. Melton slips a little bit off at 2, is more or less just that truck getting a little bit loose. Evan Schilling, by the way, he's in 7th. Zach Stevens, last week's winner, is in 8th. Chase Greer in 9th. And then Joey Hickox currently rounding out your top 10. Jonathan Herbert back in 11th. Keith Prince in 12th, and then 2x2 right now is Brody Benty alongside Sam Boutwell. That's the battle for 13th. Looks like Brody's going to grab this position here, or he's going to certainly try to. Down into turn number 3. Let's see if he can get it. Yes, he does, so he'll take that 13th spot. That moves Boutwell to 14th as the 47 tries a crossover, but he can't make it work. Mark Beverly also able to pick up a position there as they work down the back. He now moves up to 15th. Jesse Calloway falls to 16th. And then Bill Hales right now back in 17th. And if you remember last week, Bill Hales, that was another truck that really looked like he had race-winning speed, but after an incident between him and Jake Bustos late, got that 53 turn into the wall. He used the fast repair, but all that track position he lost and just was really never able to make it back up. So that was kind of a momentum killer. We're always talking about guys that are able to gain momentum by having good finishes, maybe winning a race, but when something like that happens, man, it just gets you so frustrated. And so for Bill Hales right now, he's still looking to kind of break that cloud, if you will, of, I want to say a little bit of bad luck, but also just momentum that's really not going in his favor right now. As Parham, by the way, continues to lead here. 36 of 90 complete. It's going to be coming to 4 laps to go for the stage. And again, each lap here is 2.5 miles, 2 straightaways. A lot of opportunity, but if you're not able to probably get, I would say, about halfway next to the truck. So in this case, let's use David Traylor as an example. If he's going to get a run, it's going to have to be enough to where he can be about halfway up the door of Justin Parham going into the corner. If he's not able to get that far, the run's really not going to mean much because Parham's just going to pinch him down in the corner and kind of make him have to bail out of it. But, I mean, even Traylor here, I'm not sure if he overused his stuff or what the deal was, but he's fading a little bit. Meanwhile, we're going to see a move here by Kenneth Redinger as he feels like they're far enough back from the draft where he can make this work. He is really utilizing that side draft right now, trying to hold the 2 even until they get down to the corner. And right there, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Notice how he was about halfway up the door of Jay Stinson. Stinson couldn't quite pinch him down, and now it's a battle of who gets the better corner here through 4. Looks like it is going to be Redinger, but can Stinson hold on? Not quite. He's pulling a little bit of draft. We'll see what Traylor does. Oh, Chris Melton, though, he's going to decide to go down with the 24. And if Jay Stinson had any chance of trying to hold out on this 24, not going to happen anymore here. So Redinger dives down into turn 1, trying to get clear, and he finally will. Melton now on the inside. He's going to try to get a move as well here on Jay Stinson. Can't do it just yet. He'll have to slot back in line. Now Jay Stinson is trying to see if he can get in here before the 49 gets to the inside, but he's not going to be able to do it. Matthew Fritz comes to the aid of his teammate, though, as he'll give a big push to Stinson down the backstretch. They'll be coming to 2 laps to go when they cross the line this time around. Stinson tried to cut off the 49. Looked like he was able to do so enough at least to make the 49 have to fade back. And now Jay will reclaim that spot. Matthew Fritz, does he try to take a peek on Melton here? No dice that time around. Back up front. Here they come across the yard of bricks. It's going to be 39 laps complete. And again, 2 laps to go here on the stage. If we see a caution at this point, that would officially end the stage. Parham still out in front of his teammate David Traylor. Traylor trying to find something here in the last 2 laps. And, you know, I know they're teammates and they're okay with working together, but this is just one of those things where I think that whether it's David Traylor or really anybody that wants a shot to win this race, you got to go for that cleaner on the restarts, because so far tonight, we have seen one guy leading this race, and it has been at 19 of Justin Parham. Nobody else has really even had much of a chance besides the 54, and it seems like every lap that he stays behind his teammate, he falls farther and farther back and just you know, maybe the 54 is able to pull away if he gets clean air, but for Justin Parham, I mean, this is just about everything he could have asked for so far tonight, especially in kind of a hope to recover after the way things went last week. Don't forget that the NOMA Truck Series going to be back to the Brickyard in the Indy cars later on in the season, but we'll talk more about that later. White flag in the air here for stage number 2. 1 lap to go. It's further back. They're starting to dice it up a little bit here. That's right around Mark Beverly as he is trying to get to the inside here of Jonathan Herbert. Sam Boutwell is going to choose to go low as well. Does he look through wide? Does he try to push the 55? Ooh, Beverly with a big moment there. As you noticed, he got loose there through turn 1. Going to try to see if he can slot up here off of 2. Ooh, Jonathan Herbert able to stay alongside here. He's going to be able to get a side draft back. The 55 not going to have enough here to get clear as the 87 starts fighting back. Beverly's going to look for another side draft here before they ship it off into turn 3 for the final time. We'll look back at that battle in a minute, but off of turn 4, Justin Parham looked perfect through stage 1, and now he is going to go perfect through stage 2. Grandstand Racing will take the sweep of the stages. Justin Parham takes stage 2 at Indy. Further back, they start to fan out now. Matthew Fritz looks to the inside. I think he might have snuck a position over Evan Schilling there at the end. Beverly's going to hold on as he gets around Jonathan Herbert. And there is the scheduled caution here to mark the end of stage number 2. Rounding out your podium for that stage was David Traylor and Kenneth Redinger. So it's a 1-2-3 for Grandstand Racing. Man, they are looking really, really good so far here tonight. So we approach the halfway point in this race. All right, well, as they all bring it around, it'll be 4 tires and fuel for the entirety of the field. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side. And when we come back, we'll talk again to your stage 2 winner now, Justin Parham.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you really drive, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, we got the monkey is prime! This season, we are hydrated!
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the H&H Tractor Work 200 for the NOMA Truck Series presented by Manny Rays. Pit stops underway. Again, here we are under caution. This is just the end of stage 2, though, so a scheduled caution. All the drivers are ready for it, and we'll wait till they work their way out of the pits here. And you know what? I know we initially had said we were going to talk to Justin Parham here, but he's got things figured out. And so I think I'm more curious to hear from his teammate David Traylor on what he's feeling right now and what his game plan is going to be here to try to get around his teammate for the final stage. Hey, David, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, gotcha, Austin.
Well, I'll tell you what, so far so good, not just for you, but kind of Grandstand Racing as a whole. But, I mean, here we are, third stage. It's a little bit longer, but at the same time, we're starting to get closer and closer to that pay window. So far, though, it seems like you haven't quite been able to find a way around your teammate. How's the truck handling?
It's great once you've got clean air. It's super loose, which I love. I can
I can dirt track around this place, but as soon as you get on somebody's bumper, it just gets super tight. It's super hard to make the corner. So the only way you're going to really pass somebody is catch them coming off a corner, get a good run, and then kind of hope it sticks in the next one. Justin's pretty good. Now that I got the 24 behind me, you know, I want to have a good finish here. At the same time, these guys are my teammates. I don't want to do anything stupid, so I want to make sure that they're able to get a good finishes with me. So I'm going to see what I can do. Got to be smart here. Got a pretty long run to the finish, but yeah, so far so good.
Well, now that we know it's going to be a much longer run, again, probably about twice the distance of what we saw in stage 1 or 2, does that change the mindset here in terms of, do you maybe try to save a bit more, or do you keep doing the same thing you've been doing?
I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here. Based on the first stage, I think us top 3 here probably have the best long run trucks the rest of the field. So maybe we can get a little breakaway here. I know in the first 20 laps we had almost 4 or 5 seconds on the rest of the field. So maybe with about 45 laps to go, we can put some distance on them and sweep the podium here.
Absolutely. Well, last thing before we let you go, David, is we see it's going to be about 46 laps. How are you feeling about fuel? Can you make it on a one stop, or are you going to have to go 2?
Well, you know, it's one of those things where I like to think I'm good at fuel saving, but you know, we might have to run it dry here. But we'll see how it turns out. Once we get a little slower in the run, let off a little earlier, save a little more fuel. If I can make it on one stop, I'm definitely going to try, but we just got to see if there's any cautions.
Indeed, we will. All right, David, well, we appreciate you talking to us again. Congrats on the good run so far through stage 1 and 2. We'll see if we're talking to you again here on the podium or in victory lane at the end of stage 3.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin.
All right, there you go. Says he kind of feels like they have some of the most dominant trucks, and I think right now most of the field would probably have to agree. They've looked really good so far, as once they take the green flag here, it will officially be the halfway point in this race. And so again, about 225 miles, the total distance. So we'll see what happens here as the 19 of Justin Parham took the inside trailer on the outside. And I think if you're anybody in the top 10, this has to be your most aggressive restart. Because based off when things started to get spaced out, I don't know if I would necessarily buy that. We'll see a caution. And with that being the case and how quickly things spread out, you have got to take advantage of these new tires here in this first lap or two before things kind of start to settle out single file. See how they decide to go about it, though. All right, here we go. Going to go back to TV1. We'll watch them from the turn 1 view as they all rocket their way down as they get ready to go back through the gears for the final time here. Potentially the final time, I should say. Certainly the final stage restart. As here we go back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Stage 3 is underway at the Brickyard. Good restart again for Justin Parham. He'll do more of the same. Jumps up, and then he'll go back down as they work into turn number 1. Everybody's going to single file out there quickly. Thought maybe there'd be a little bit more contest further back and a little bit more 2x2, but there is not. Again, that did not take long for everybody to shuffle in line, and that could be that they're all trying to save tires here right out of the gate. You heard Trailer mention that there could potentially be some fuel saving. You wonder if that's going to play a factor as well. And a couple moves now looking to the inside. One of those is Sam Boutwell. That's another one of the Grandstand Racing teammates. He was a rookie to that team last season, but certainly not this season. And as Boutwell is able to pick up a spot there, the 55 of Beverly got a little wide there, but he's able to shuffle back in. Bill Hales further back. He'll look to the inside this time of John Bawalda. Can the 53 get it? Gets a little tight there off of turn 4. Not able to do it. Bawalda still has the draft, and the 53 of Bill Hales, well, he's pulling a little bit of a draft himself right now. Question is, can he stay alongside the 5 long enough here to make something happen? Trying to. The 5 sends it off on the outside. Bill Hales cooks it off on the inside, and he will. Boy, what a pass right there from Bill Hales. He gets the better of one of the rookies here, as Bawalda's going to fall a spot here. By the way, Chris Melton, not sure what happened, if it was something through that pit stop, but he had a lot of speed there in that second stage. Unfortunate to see the 49 lose this much track position here for the start of the final stage. But he's used to making his way to the front. Had to do it a couple times here tonight, so we'll see if he can do it again here in stage number 3. Parham still leading over his teammate David Trailer. You heard David say kind of, you almost got to spend basically half a lap setting up a pass here, and if it doesn't work, you got to shuffle back in line and doesn't want to put his teammate in any sort of risky situation. But right now it's 1, 2, 3. for Grandstand Racing with Parham in the lead, trailer second, and then Redinger in third. Jay Stinson, the next closest truck. That's one of the Venom Racing teammates, and he sits about 0.4 of a second behind the back bumper of Kenneth Redinger. And he does have a couple of his teammates lined up behind him. You see Matthew Fritz is there, Joey Hickox as well, or excuse me, Chase Greer rather, and then Zach Stevens. Joey Hickox a bit further back as he currently sits in that 13th spot, as he has still been struggling with the handling of that truck for a fair portion of the night. And so when things start to single file out like this, for the drivers, you still got to stay focused, right? I mean, we kind of call this the portion of the race where, you know, it's not like the real-life truck series where these guys are getting that physical workout. They're worried about, you know, potentially getting exhausted, cramping up. But I'll tell you what, it certainly becomes a bit of a mental workout when you get into these late to middle or middle to late portions of the race where it's not really, the pay window's not open yet, but at the same time, you've got to get in enough of a rhythm where you don't make a mistake, you don't give up the lead, you don't give up track position. And so for really any of these top three here, this is where you really start to try to find that zone where you're able to get those left side tires on or just below that white line every single corner without making a mistake. And if you can do that before you know it, you'll see that gap increase significantly between yourself and the next closest truck. But I don't think David Traylor has any plans of going anywhere anytime soon. As further back, Joey Hickox now is going to jump out of line as he looks to make a move here on the 87 of Jonathan Herbert. See if Joey can get cleared down to the corner. Ooh, Herbert overshot, gets way out of the groove here, and he's going to lose that position to Joey Hickox. Thought Jesse Calloway may have been close enough to take that position as well, but that's not going to be the case. It'll be 49 laps when they cross the line next time around. Excuse me, as they cross the line this time around. So that means it'll be 50 the next time around. And you know, 2.5 mile racetrack, normally at Daytona or Talladega, the two tracks that are about the same length, we'd be saying about 25 to go is when it's crunch time, when guys start maybe picking up the pace a little bit. But I don't think we're going to see that final pit stop until, well, it's going to be close because, again, we went green with 45 of 90 laps complete. So that gave us exactly 46 laps to go in this race. And so you figure everybody probably tries to split this in half if it's close on fuel, see if they can make it 23 and 23. And again, they were able to make it 20 and 20 on stage one, or excuse me, I guess I should say they were able to show that they could make it 20 laps by making it the whole way through stage one. And so we'll see if it's more of the same here in the final stage. And, you know, if you can make it 20 and you can't go any further than that, that means you'd have to save 3. That's a pretty tough ask at a track this big, but I have a feeling they can probably make it 21 or 22. That makes it more realistic that maybe you have to save a lap to a lap and a half. And even that is still asking a lot at a track where there's just so much throttle time. Redinger had a little bit of a bobble there off of 2 that cost him a little bit of time, as you can see that rubber line continuing to fill in on the bottom of the racetrack where the dark gray is. Joey Hickox, he looks like he has maybe started to pick up the pace here a little bit now, as we saw him pick off that spot from Jonathan Herbert just about a lap or so ago, and now he's caught up and getting ready to put some pressure on 47 of Boutwell. Ooh, Joey tried to duck a nose low there, see if he could get Boutwell to slip up or maybe overshoot the corner. Sam Boutwell, though, stays very disciplined, doesn't make that mistake. By the way, the 47, you know, for Sam Boutwell in general, we talked about last season the opportunity to come over here and join Grandstand Racing, and it may not have been the best way that he wanted to see a season end, but overall, certainly learned a lot, made progress on the season before. But man, this season, he comes out of the gate, wins the season opener at Daytona, so he's already got himself set for the playoffs, and now it's just a matter of how much more momentum can he build on his way there. And so far tonight, not really been a great race for him, but driver the 47 certainly been strong for the most part of the season so far, as now Joey Hickox gets a little racy there, and he's going to jump in behind the 47 again as he got loose off of 2 and had to surrender that spot. And if you're Joey Hickox here, you're either trying to sit behind this 47 or get around him quick, as Herbert tried to make a move there as they checked up, getting ready for turn 3, wasn't able to do it. But yeah, if you're Joey Hickox right here, you either got to make this move soon or you got to commit to just saving tire, because every time you make that move and it doesn't work out, you use up more and more tire. And with 51, oh, Joey into the wall. Just as we started talking about him, he overshot it there on exit, got a little bit tight, and that was a pretty big tank slapper for the 3 truck. That could be potentially some significant damage here for Joey Hickox. See if we can see it here as he works through 1 and 2. Not able to get a good view right there. We'll see if we can get a better angle here in the right front and the right rear view. Yeah, there is a couple scrapes there. Enough of an impact to certainly cause a little bit of damage on that truck. Got to be careful here. A lot of tracks, you get away with that completely fine, but here at Indy, where aerodynamics are so important. Any sort of crumples on that truck are going to significantly impact the downforce that you have, especially late in a run. Justin Parham still being scored as your leader, but up front, these three Grandstand Racing teammates just continue to put on a clinic as they have now pulled away from just about everybody else. Jay Stinson sits about a second back from the back bumper of Kenneth Redinger. But for Parham now, I mean, he has by far led the most laps because he's led pretty much every single lap. I don't know if there's a lap the 19 hasn't led here tonight, as he's really been on rails, and while the 54 and the 24 have been very good as well, there is still yet to be a pass for the lead. It's been a very one-groove type racetrack. Everybody is definitely taking notes of that, I can promise you that. And this is one of those tracks where as much of a track is, or I guess I should say, as much fun as it is to drive, this is one of those things that you kind of worry about, is not really being able to make a move, not being able to necessarily work different lanes, just kind of being confined to that bottom of the racetrack and trying to get those two tires right on that strip right there, kind of the apex of the corner. But we did see guys start to get loose later on the run through stage 1. Haven't had a chance to go that far in stage 2 or even in stage 3 yet, as we're only at this point about 8 to 9 laps in from when we got the green flag in stage 3. So we'll see if they start to slip up as we get later and later into the run. We talked about them making it on fuel, but an even bigger question would be how much of a struggle does it start to become trying to make it on tires? Parham, though, he has looked really, really good, and when that truck has gotten loose on him, he's been able to make adjustments. If you remember back to stage 1 when Trailer kind of started to catch back up to him, the 19 every single time was able to find a way to make an adjustment and kind of re-gap the 54. As here's 3 of the Venom Racing teammates make it 4, all running in a pack. Chase Stinson leads that group, Matthew Fritz in second, and then it's Chase Greer and Zach Stevens third and fourth in that group. And they currently sit 4th through 7th. Mark Beverly back in 8th, Evan Schilling in 9th, and Sam Boutwell rounding out your top 10. Most of the 2x2 action that we've had anytime after about the first 5 laps for these restarts has been towards the back of the field, as Brody Benty, Bill Hales were side by side for a minute. Evan Schilling looked like he got stuck to the outside wall there just briefly, but was able to take it back off. And Chris Melton, who we talked about, lost a bunch of track position, is trying to make it back up. He's picked up a few spots already so far on this restart, but he's still got a lot of work to do as the 49 now looks to the inside of the 63. Boy, that was a shallow entry. Yeah, I was getting ready to say he's either going to have to bail out of it here or hold it really low, as now, man, him and Brody Benty, another big moment as the 63 was all out of shape trying to get the throttle down off of turn number 2 right there. Bill's going to look for another move now. These guys continue to dice it out as Bill Hills. Can he get clear of Sam Boutwell? Yes, he does. The 53 is going to take that spot. Now the 49 of Chris Melton, he's going to look low down the short chute and into turn 4. Let's see if he gets it here. He does. He's got to slide up in front of that 63, and he will. Brody Benty loses the spot, as does Sam Boutwell. The 49 and the 53 both move up 1. So single file as further back. That was the 5 of Buwalda there. Maybe a couple issues off of 4, and then Jesse Calloway. He currently sits in the pits. Not sure what happened to the 34. Truck looks clean, but he has currently parked it for the moment. Back up front we go, and the separation between your top 3 continues to extend here. Redinger has gotten around Trailer, but Parham has pulled away now to about a 7/10 of a second lead over his 2 teammates. We briefly look like we may have had some trouble out back on the data tower, but looks like everybody is able to gather it back up. 56 of 90 laps complete. If you're just tuning in, or if you've been tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. Chris Carter says, evening from Columbus, Ohio. Boys, PGR is the stuff. Yeah, you got that right. Again, excited to bring NOMA over to PGR eSports this season. Looking forward to it. And then Nancy Hickok says, PGR is new to the NOMA Truck Series, but his broadcaster, hold your horses here. Trouble for Buwalda here. This was off of turn 4. As that truck, he's going to bring it down to the pits here. Oh! So he actually gets into the wall, trying to get down to speed. Pit road speed, if you will. That's not good news for the 5 truck. He's just going to park it here. Buwalda, I'm not sure if he was dealing with handling issues or a separate issue, but he decides that he's going to end his race right here. Is a very weird sounding motor on that car, almost as if, he's going to have trouble here in 3 and 4. That's why that motor sounded weird here. Let's see. Rockets down the backstretch here, and then as he gets into turn 3, let's see what happens here. Gets into the corner, and then he's just tight. He's wicked tight. And bam, that's a pretty solid shot the safer barrier here as he gets it back on the track. And yeah, I think he's just decided that he does not like the way that truck's handling. And, you know, I've been in this position as a driver before where sometimes, you know, if you're running at the back, you feel like there's nothing more to gain for the night. You decide, you know what, let me just take it back to the hauler and go ahead and get some rest, get ready for next week. So that will end the night for John Bawalda in the 5 truck. And as of right now, he will be scored a 17th place finish. As we go back up front, Justin Parham still being scored as your leader, but finishing off on Nancy Hickok says PGR is new to the NOMA Truck Series, but the broadcaster Austin is not. We love our broadcaster. Welcome to the family of truck drivers. Absolutely, that's right. Again, NOMA Truck Series has been around for 6 seasons. And the only new part about this season is that we did switch it over to PGR eSports, but besides that, these guys have still put on the same great showing each and every week for every season. We have seen some great drivers be crowned champions of the NOMA Truck Series. Oh, man, Boutwell. Big moment right there for the blue and black truck. Off of turn 4, man. The handling's starting to fall off again. For some of these drivers, it's only going to get worse. As again, we are not expecting that first and, well, I guess I should say the only green flag pit stop here of stage 2 for probably about another 10 laps or so. Maybe even, well, I take that back. Maybe about 8 to 10 laps from now because we went green on 45. We talked about they're probably going to try to go 23 and 23. And so you figure you're going to have to go to about 60, 68, maybe 69 if you can stretch it that far, which is going to be, again, about 10 laps from now when they cross the line this next time around. We'll see if they can all make it that distance. But if they don't make it to, I would say, realistically, probably about 68, I don't think they're going to be able to make it on fuel all the way. Now, if somebody feels like they can make it to 23, maybe a short pit, but I just don't see that realistically being a viable strategy in really any shape or form. And so for Justin Parham right here, he likes what he's doing, and that's leading every single lap of this race. Redinger, though, has not let him pull away just yet. Redinger, one of the veterans of the series, and these two, although they've been teammates, one of the friendly rivalries in the sense of they're both so good each and every week. It's always kind of a throw-up of, you know, when these two take the lead at the end of a race, who's going to get the win? As David Trailer, I'm not sure if the handling of that truck has finally fallen off or what the deal is. Maybe he's just saving some fuel here. In fact, let's hop on board and take a look at the dashboard telemetry here. I don't know if this is a track where you can necessarily clutch into the corners, but certainly let off early is Trailer maybe just trying to save this truck a little bit and save some fuel for that second run, but he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to let his teammates get too far out in front. You can see the back end of that truck is certainly dancing around a little bit off the corners as he had to get out of it right there. So for the 54, he's got the J.C. Newman Cigar Co. And I'll tell you what, right now, for David Trailer, I mean, it's already been a success of the season so far. He's already found victory lane once, looking to see if he could find it again, but these speeds, they're starting to really fall off down through these corners. Again, we saw 160 when they were fully pushing the pace. They're down to some of the 140s, and I don't know if this is strictly from tire fall off or, like I said, some of these drivers are just trying to save some fuel. But further back, they're starting to group back up again here as certain groups are starting to catch others. Let's see if we can go to some of that here as, oh, trouble for Fritz as he's going to lose a spot right there. I believe that was to Mark Beverly. Yes, it was. The 55 is going to take that spot from the 29, and now he is starting to march his way through the field. Next up in line is the 2 of Jay Stinson. And the only bad news here for Mark Beverly is that even if he gets around that 2, he'll no longer really have draft to necessarily propel him to the front, as there's about a 2 to 3 second gap between Jay Stinson and the leaders. And yeah, Beverly he's pushing the pace here. Look at this. He's going to go to the inside here of Jay Stinson down into turn number 1. And he'll get clear by the time he exits turn number 1. So Jay Stinson, not really much he can do here. Kind of has to let that 55 go by, try to settle back in just behind him. Evan Schilling, big slide right there as well. As they rocket off of 2, Sam Boutwell, you see him sliding around, and another big slide. That time it was from Brody Benty. And man, I am getting really, really nervous just up here watching this that somebody is going to lose it here sooner or later, and we could potentially see our 3rd caution. Justin Parham, though, he does not want to see that. Right now, he wants to see this thing stay green, get to this pit stop. And, you know, for Kenneth Redinger right here, I think his best chance is just to stick in the draft here of Justin Parham until they can get to this pit stop. And if he can do that, I think he needs to take advantage of the tires as soon as they come out of the pit sequence. And if he's able to get back to the 19 and make a move on him, get that clean air, you never know. But just so far from everything we've seen, whoever's out in front has been dominant, and that's only been Justin Parham so far here tonight. As now David Traylor, who we thought maybe had completely lost touch with these two, starts to try to even it out a little bit here down the back. Half a second the distance between Parham and Redinger, and then just about a second the distance between Redinger and the other teammate, David Traylor. Mark Beverly, by the way, has pulled away from the Venom Racing drivers, but still has a lot of work to do. 3 seconds is the gap right now between him and David Traylor, the next closest truck that he could draft off of. And so it's going to be about 5 laps until that pit stop. Make it actually, 5 exactly as they cross the line that time. I guess you could say 4 to 5, depending on if these guys decide to go 60, well, I guess it would be 67 coming to 68, or 68 coming to 69. Uh-oh, Parham slips off at 2. That's what Redinger needed. That's going to close that gap up by about 0.2 of a second. Redinger sees that here, and he's going to put the hammer down a little bit sooner off of turn 2. And you can see he's still trying to get his momentum back as Redinger closes about 0.3 of a second just from that brief mistake by Justin Parham. That allows David Traylor to close it in a little bit as well. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, why it only takes one mistake. He was continuing to extend that lead, but that one little slip up, not only did it cost him some time, but now he's got to try to resettle in and kind of get back in a rhythm. Parham trying to take advantage here. He's not, Redinger trying to take advantage here, but Parham's not going to let it happen. Quickly able to kind of re-extend that gap back up to almost 0.5 of a second here. And just about 3 to 4 laps away now from that final green flag pit stop. And boy, it is the money stop. Remember back to last week when Parham was in great position to potentially win this race. What did he do? He got a penalty on the pit road in the final pit stop that cost him track position. Cannot let it happen again here tonight. And pit road here at Indy, it's a little bit interesting. I wouldn't say it's a tricky pit road, but as soon as you come off of turn 4, you got to yank the wheel left, and you don't want to jam on the brakes till you're straight. So you got to get the truck lined up with the pits, and then you got to get from, I don't know, 160, 170 miles an hour down to what the pit speed is here, which is probably somewhere between 40 and 60. And so it's all a matter of when do you make that stop as Parham, ooh, I thought for a second there he was going to peel off about 3 laps shy, but he doesn't. He's just trying to break the draft from his teammate, Justin Parham. And look at this group that is forming up from all the way back of, I believe this is Chase Greer in 5th, all the way back to Bill Hales in 10th and Evan Schilling in 11th. This 5-car group, I think they're going to start getting racy here. Even if it's before we get to this pit stop, Chris Melton, he's looking to the inside of Matthew Fritz. The Venom Racing teammates who were so good there for so much of this run, it seemed like maybe some of them are starting to fade a little bit as Melton will take that position away. Fritz looks for a bit of a crossover here, but he's not going to be able to get it. Chase Greer is going to break that draft down the back straightaway as we have hit 25 laps to go here at Indianapolis. Nobody's able to make a move that time down into turn 3. Zach Stevens took a peek, but he was just trying to get some clean air. Wasn't able to do it, and now that's going to move him up the racetrack as here we go. First round of pit stops, and it's going to be 2 of the leaders. Parham and Redinger decide to go in. This is a little bit early. This makes me wonder if these two don't feel like they can make it. And that is a big, big development. 25 laps to go. Again, this seems really, really early, and there are still trucks that stayed out on the racetrack. So Parham and Redinger bring it in, as do Bill Hales, Keith Prince, and Sam Boutwell. And so this will all be, well, what could have been their final stop. I don't know if it's going to be their final stop now. They're going to have to do some saving. Meanwhile, David Traylor stays out, and now if you're this 54, are you committed to trying to do everything you can here to make this on a 1 stop? I would think so. We'll see if he decides to bring it down to the pits this time. He might be good to go just by bringing it down this time, but if he could go 1 more, that would really, really help his chances. Let's see what he decides to do here off of turn 4. Does he yank it left, or does he keep it straight? Oh, he's going to pit here. Yeah, Traylor, you can see he's going to bring it down. He'll downshift through the gears. And actually, yeah, nice and smooth. I thought for a minute he was putting the clutch in just to try to make sure he made it on fuel, but looks like he's good to go as you see some of the guys that pit last lap making their way out. Mark Beverly, he makes his pit stop right here, but the Venom Racing teammates, they actually were able to stay out another lap. So this is, again, making things even more interesting now. Looks like Chris Melton, and I believe that's Evan Schilling. They both made a pit stop here, but Chase Greer, Jay Stinson, and Matthew Fritz, they are all still out on the racetrack, as is Zach Stevens as well. Man, quite the shakeup here as you see Jonathan Herbert taking the access road out. He'll get back up to speed and back onto the racetrack. Joey Hickox, he's also still out as there's Stevens, but Hickox has lost touch with his teammates here as David Traylor still sits in the pits for 4 tires and fuel. Evan Schilling, Mark Beverly, Chris Melton, and then there's Kenneth Redinger and Justin Parham. Look at this, though. Redinger says it's go time. He's going to race his teammate off into turn 1. Actually, that was Parham that's taking a look to the inside of his teammate here. Redinger was able to lead that lap, but Parham wants the lead back. He feels like he's been the most dominant truck all night, and he wants to try to get that lead back here. And if you're Redinger, you got to race your teammate for it here, and he knows it. Doesn't want to give up this lead now because he knows how important clean air has been for Parham all night. And I mean, I got to feel like if you're the 24, you feel like if you keep it here, you set sail. But if the 19 gets it, he's probably going to set sail. And Redinger here is going to have to do a lot of work to fend off this 19. And if you're Parham, this is really the first time he's been in dirty air all night. So you wonder how quickly can he adjust to the way this truck's going to handle when not being out in front. And he doesn't want to use up too much tire here. Again, this is still going to be considered a long run. And that's if they can make it to the finish. I'm not sure if these guys will have to go in for another splash of gas or not. As we see the Venom Racing teammates, they are now in the pits. And it's a long pit stop. They are 100% going to lose the lead here. But I think this is all about a strategy of they are expecting to make it here without having to pit again, whereas the Grandstand Racing drivers, or at least 2 of them, and Justin Parham and Kenneth Redinger, are planning to make another pit stop. Question would be, of course, when do they make that stop? Do they just stay out as long as they can, hope for a caution, or do they try to go in a little bit sooner, get that splash of fuel, and see if they can get back out and try to maybe catch up before we get to the finish? Either way, it's going to be an exciting one. All rest of the 21 laps that we're going to have to go once we cross the line this time. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be back at Indianapolis.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We want pride. We want pride. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the monkey is prime. This season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
All right, welcome back. Before we get back to full screen action, I do want to show you again, and I know we show this a lot, but always good to know what to expect in the near future for the NOMA Truck Series, what races we have coming up next weekend. We're going to head to Darlington, the Lady in Black, for 130 laps, and it's off to one of the short tracks, and in fact, this may be the only short track of the season. Looks like it is. Iowa Speedway, that's going to be a good one. Then it's off to the Monster Mile, followed by Talladega, and then we take a break before the playoffs with the NOMA doubleheader. And that will be again back to the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we are tonight, but it'll be an open wheel. And then we'll head to Charlotte right after that, which of course will be in the trucks. And boy, that's going to be a long, long night for a lot of drivers. 75 laps around this track in the Indy cars, followed by 150 laps in the trucks. I mean, that's certainly a lot of racing. And then we kick off the round of 16 at Texas Motor Speedway, and then it's off to Kansas, followed by Nashville, Chicagoland for the round of 8. Then it's Vegas, on to Miami, with the Championship 4 being at Old Atlanta. And I can think of a couple drivers that are going to be pretty excited about that track. But as we now turn our attention back to the pitch strategy that has certainly seemed to develop here late in this race with just 18 laps to go. Let's break it down for you as it is right now. Justin Parham, he leads the way. You see, he just got back by David Traylor. He was able to get back around his other teammate, Kenneth Redinger, while we were on break. But the big development right now is who can make it on fuel and who can't, right? Because David Traylor currently sits in second, and what's interesting to me is, in fact, that he's actually hanging with these guys this much. This new tire is either making this much of a difference, or Parham decided to have to save, because what I was going to say is David Traylor in a much better fuel scenario than these other two. And so Parham here, I wonder if Parham maybe lets him by and tries to just utilize his draft. We'll have to find out. Looks like Parham doesn't want to give it up that easily as he stays side by side for now. And then the Venom Racing teammates were the last group to go in, and that consisted of Jay Stinson, Zach Stevens, Matthew Fritz. They all currently still run together. And right now I think that they're on the best fuel strategy of anyone. So if David Traylor doesn't have to pit again and his teammates do, he wins. If Redinger and Parham are able to stay out, Parham probably wins. If none of those three can make it, then it goes back to the Venom Racing teammates. One of them probably win it, and we are not going to know until we get to within probably about the last 5 laps or so of this race, because I think even if you're, Parham or anybody else at this point, you've already committed, and you just got to, I guess, stay with what you've kind of set your bed as, if you will. You've already made the bed, and you're going to have to lay in it here. But Parham did indeed eventually have to kind of surrender that spot here to David Traylor. Traylor is on a bit fresher tires, but we'll see if Parham's able to save a little bit here running the draft. Take a listen here to that throttle as he works down the back. And whenever you're in the draft, even if you're full throttle, you can save more fuel. But as you maybe get a little bit of a run, you try to kind of let out of the throttle or maybe coast into the corners. That's ways that you can save even more fuel. And so it'll be 15 laps to go when they cross the line this next time around. Justin Parham still been the most dominant truck here tonight, but David Traylor has kind of flipped this race on its lid here with the strategy call for this final pit stop. And I say final pit stop, but if we get a caution, I think everybody's going to have a set of tires left over. Let's see. We said it was 4 sets tonight. That means they had 3 sitting in the pits. Took one at the end of 1, end of 2, and here actually, so I take that back. I don't think anybody has a set remaining in the pits. And so maybe you do save a little bit of tire here, although I doubt it. I think with 15 to go, we're well within the distance of what we had for a race late in stage 1 or even stage 2. As how about Mark Beverly? This is another truck that has kind of flipped the track position late in this going with. He was at the back. He had to climb all the way through the field. Pitted probably about 3 seconds behind the Grandstand Racing teammates, and now look at this. He has caught up to the back bumper of Kenneth Redinger. This would be for that final podium position, and he's going to see if he can maybe take 3rd away. See if he can do it. Bill Hale's another driver who has capitalized late via that pit sequence, as he is now up to 5th, up a spot from where he started this race at. And Keith Prince with a good-looking paint scheme tonight, the Deaf Awareness Month, as he is now up to 6th, up 4 positions from where he started at. Chris Melton in 7th, Sam Boutwell 8th, Evan Schilling in 9th, and Chase Greer currently rounding out your top 10. Jay Stinson 11th, Zach Stevens in 12th, Matthew Fritz 13th, Brody Benti in 14th, and then Jonathan Herbert is in 15th. Joey Hickox in 16th, and then John Buwalda, I apologize. I think I've said Josh a couple times here tonight, but again, he retired from the race a little bit ago. Finished 17th, and then Jesse Calloway, who also retired from the race, is in 18th. Derek Catt, his race ended early. He is the last scoring truck here tonight in 19th. We'll be coming to 13 laps to go next time around. By the way, quick reminder of where PGR eSports will be at next. I believe it'll be over on Tuesday night to Tuesday Night Thunder. Dawson Wise will be joining me in the booth for that one, as will Matt Metler, our new development broadcaster over here at PGR eSports, who you'll probably hear a couple times this season during some of the NOMA races when I can't make it. So I do encourage you, if you're curious to hear what Matt sounds like, to either check out last Thursday's broadcast or this upcoming potentially Tuesday broadcast, as we'll be excited to have him on board for a lot more races in the future. And man, what a season it's been so far for the NOMA Truck Series. 20-car strong field. Again, last week, which was, of course, the week of the Daytona race in real life, I think was some of the reason for a little bit of the lack of attendance, if you will, but it is back up a little bit here tonight, and I think I'm curious to see the size of field that we see for drivers attempting the double, and if somebody's able to actually win both of those, that's going to be a big deal and a big momentum boost before we head into the playoffs. You can't forget about this win and you're in format. So David Traylor, he's already got a win. Kenneth Redinger does as well. And so it's kind of one of those deals where it's not, the win doesn't do as much for them as it would for some of the other drivers who are still looking to get themselves locked in. But, I mean, a win's a win, no matter where you get it, no matter what it's for. Everybody likes to go trophy hunting, and David Traylor, as it stands right now, is just 12 laps away from making that happen. By the way, one thing that we didn't mention here tonight was what points were looking like. After last week, of course, we talked about the schedule, but as for points, Justin Parham currently being scored as your points leader. Zachary Stevens second after his win last week. Kenneth Redinger in third. Chase Greer in fourth. David Traylor rounding out the top 5 in the points battle coming into tonight. Jay Stinson in fifth. Or excuse me, Jay Stinson in sixth. And then it looks like Sam Boutwell back in seventh. Bill Hales eighth. Mark Beverly dropped points after last week, and he has fallen back to ninth. And Chris Melton currently rounds out your top 10. And then as for team points, shouldn't be much of a surprise that Grandstand Racing still leads that battle. Venom Racing, though, in second at the moment. Asphalt Outlaws Racing in third. Moose Knuckle Motorsports fourth. And then MNT Motorsports rounds out the team standings. They currently run in fifth. Going to be coming to 10 laps to go when they cross the line this time. So before things start to get any crazier, how about a little crank it up the Brickyard? Here we go. All right, and that's going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy. 9 laps to go, closing in on 8 to go once they cross the line this time. And David Traylor, as we go back to the onboard view right now, continues to lead the driver out of Loxley, Alabama. Can he find his second victory of the season here? At just about the halfway point. Maybe a little bit over. Point is, David Traylor right now, he looks to be in the best position, and I would think if he was saving that, he certainly wouldn't have created a just about 1.5 second gap on his teammate. We see one in the pits further back there, trying to figure out exactly who that was. Making their way out of the pits, that was Brody Benty, one of the Asphalt Outlaws Racing drivers. And so as Brody makes his way out of the pits here, I believe this is maybe just to make it to the finish. I'm not sure if that was a pit stop for fuel or if he was just maybe running towards the back and decided to go in and just get a breather. I'm just not sure, but point is, haven't seen anybody near the front make a pit stop yet. And I don't think we will until we get within 5 laps to go. That's when you start to kind of hold your breath and get a little bit more nervous on who can make it all the way to the finish on fuel or not. And again, don't forget, this big group back here, which consists of mostly Venom Racing drivers, they are all the best, and the best position, I should say, on fuel mileage. Unless we were to get a late caution, which, man, we may have almost had one right there. Bill Hales way up the racetrack. Now he gets into the wall. They're all going to be able to go around his inside there with no further issue. The 53 way out of the groove. Saw Sam Boutwell in that mix as well. Evan Schillings in just in front of it. Chase Greer continues to lead it right now as there's Sam Boutwell. And I wonder if this draft has just not been able to break off of each other just based off of raw speed. or if... I'm just not sure here if they're just trying to save fuel off of each other. It's just surprising after what we saw all night to really see this group all still this clumped together. We're going to head back up front because guess what? Justin Parham, he's closing this down a little bit. He's got it back to 0.8 of a second. And again, just as I said it, oh man, he overshoots the exit and he gets into the wall. That's not what he needed. The 55 of Beverly is going to try to go around here as the 19. That was pretty heavy contact there on the right side. Oh, Parham taps the wall again, and this is just bad going to worse right here. Parham's trying to regroup as Beverly's going to sneak by, and now that'll allow the 55 to be in position to potentially catch the 54. And this would be, I mean, it's already an incredible comeback for Mark Beverly. He's up 7 from where he started, but after being in a wreck early that totaled that truck, he's been fighting back all night to get to this point, and I know it's a long ways to go, but like I said, even if he just finishes second at this point, it's still going to feel like a win with the run that he's had here tonight. Going to be coming to 5 laps to go. Right now, though, David Traylor is focused on getting to that white flag because that's when this race will be declared official. Still looks nice and smooth. Justin Parham continues to fade now. Wonder if he used up his stuff. Again, we talked about a little bit earlier, he was not used to being in dirty air here tonight, and you wonder if he just tried to push it maybe a little bit harder as he could do when he was in clean air, and it just did not work out. But Kenneth Redinger back here, just trying to figure out if he'd had a little bit of damage, but I think that's just the way the paint scheme had looked on that truck from the cockpit view. Chris Melton, good comeback for him as he's up to 5th, up 11 from where he started this race at. Keith Prince in 6th, Evan Schilling 7th, Chase Greer in 8th, Jay Stinson in 9th, and Zach Stevens still rounding out your top 10. Fritz in 11th, Boutwell 12th, Bill Hales 13th, and you know, for all these Venom Racing teammates, I got to wonder at what point do they start really getting racy with each other. They've been in a group for so long. Looks like Stinson and Stevens, they've decided to pull away here. Fritz, actually, I guess I should say Fritz and Stevens are still grouped together. It was Stinson and Chase Greer who have started to actually pull away. And well over, I guess I should say, going to be just over 200 miles complete. A little bit more than that for David Traylor so far. And he's going to have 4 laps to go as he crosses the field of bricks, the yard of bricks this time around. And again, 2.5 miles is a long way to go, and he's got to do that 3 more times before he can start to put this on cruise control. And he may not even be able to do that because I'm telling you, Mark Beverly, he has found the zone. I mean, he is lighting up the lap times right now, and it's still a pretty big gap here, but never say never. And for David Traylor here, we'll compare the lap times between him and Mark Beverly over the course of the last 5, and look at this. David Traylor has been slower 4 out of the last 5 laps over Mark Beverly. It was 0.2 about 5 laps ago. He had 1 big lap where he lost almost half a second. And then the last 2 laps have been about 0.2 of a second. We'll see what this one is here. Really curious because Beverly, he's almost trimmed it down now to about 1 second here, and he's still got a lot to do. But if he can get close enough to grab a draft off of David Traylor, that gap could start to close up a lot quicker. It was close on who ran faster. I think that Beverly may have ran a little faster on that lap, but not as much. Let's see here when it loads in. Yep, sure enough, Beverly was 0.4 of a second faster. So he is coming here for David Traylor. This could come all the way down to the wire. He has got to be careful here. But if you're Mark Beverly with only 3 laps to go, you cannot make a mistake. He's got to be perfect, and realistically, he might have to hope that David Traylor does make one, because right now it's just not closing up enough. I think he would need maybe another 5 to 10 laps at the rate it's closing here. Beverly has got it down to 1.2 seconds, but they're going to be coming to 2 laps to go. He would still need to make up over half a second each lap for it to be possible. I just don't think it's going to happen here without Traylor slipping up. Off of turn 4, taking 2 laps to go. This is the final lap for a caution if we're going to get one. And he pulls away a little bit that time. That was a good lap for David Traylor. Meanwhile, further back, Redinger has found a way to get around his teammate Justin Parham for the podium, the final podium position. Chris Melton not close enough to fight for that 4th spot, but he's going to hold on to a top 5. Keith Prince still in 6th. Most of the racing now has started to spread out single file further back. And with that, we will keep our attention up front for the rest of the way. Still 1.2 seconds right now, the gap between Mark Beverly and David Traylor. Mark Beverly's giving it all he's got right now, but it's just not going to be enough. I think David Traylor was just making sure that he saved enough for any late stint from whether it was his teammate or, in this case, Mark Beverly. And now he is back to being on rails here for the last lap and a half or so. 1 corner to go before he sees the flag that he's been waiting to see all night, and that is the white flag. Starter has it in the air. Can he make it? He's got about 100 yards to go to make it official. Through the yard of bricks. Yes, he will. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for David Traylor, looking for his second win. Grandstand Racing had so much speed here tonight. It was Justin Parham who swept the first 2 stages. We had a chance to talk to David Traylor at the end of stage 2, and what did we ask him? What could he do? How could he find a way around his teammate? He wasn't sure. Said he had to figure it out. Said we'll see what happens, and was able to flip strategy a little bit on its lid, and once he took the lead, he has not looked back. Remember, back to Auto Club. That's where the 54 found victory lane for the first time this season, and now here at Indianapolis, one of the crown jewels in all of stock car racing, and here in the NOMA Truck Series, one of the most iconic tracks to win at. He finds himself out in front. Final time through turn 4. Can he get off clean? Yes, he does. Here comes David Traylor through the yard of bricks for the final time here tonight. Checkered flag in the air. David Traylor wins at Indianapolis. What a run for Venom Racing. What a win for David Traylor. And what a comeback for Mark Beverly, who brings home second. Redinger rounds out the podium. And you know David Traylor has got to be pretty excited after that one. And man, we should have brought the driver cam up a little bit sooner there. So I do apologize for that, David, when you look back at it later. We didn't quite catch the reaction as I pulled it up a little bit late. But what a run. So David Traylor, he'll bring it around to burn it down. We'll get a chance to talk to him along with Mark Beverly and Kenneth Redinger here momentarily. But before we do that here, while David Traylor brings it around, let's take a look at your finishing results here tonight. David Traylor is your winner at the field, the yard of bricks, if you will. Indianapolis, Mark Beverly brings home second. Kenneth Redinger, Justin Parham in fourth. As I meant to say, Mark Beverly second, Redinger in third. Yep, Justin Parham fourth. Chris Melton finishes in fifth. Keith Prince sixth. Evan Schilling in seventh. Then you've got Jay Stinson in eighth. Chase Greer ninth. And Zach Stevens rounding out your top 10. Matthew Fritz finishes in 11th. Sam Boutwell in 12th. Bill Hales in 13th. Joey Hickox in 14th. Then you've got Jonathan Herbert in 15th. Brody Benty in 16th. John Buwalda finishes in 17th with Jesse Calloway back in 18th. Rounding out your field here tonight is Derek Catt in 19th. All right, we're going to go pull in the top 3 for interviews as David Traylor continues to celebrate here at the Brickyard. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, and we're going to start with your third place finisher here tonight for Grandstand Racing. It's Kenneth Redinger. Kenneth, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you bring home a third place finish here tonight. Seemed like the turning point in the race, though, was that pit stop when you and your teammate Justin Parham went in. You guys had a pretty big lead over David Traylor. You come out, race for the lead a little bit, but then what kind of happened there towards the end?
We just had to back off. We were running about 3/4 throttle. We were short. I was short about a little over a lap of fuel there, so I had to just save fuel that whole run. And I ran out coming across the line there.
Well, either way, you did still bring home a podium. It's a good night for Grandstand Racing with the first and third place finish. But, I mean, you know, when we came into Indianapolis here tonight, we saw a lot of single file racing. I'm not sure if that's what everybody expected, but you had to come from the back. You made your way all the way to the front, up 14 from where you started for your finish. How did you make those adjustments as the race went through, as each stage went by? How did you continue to work your way all the way to the front?
It was just a little bit of learning there. You try to see because we don't run here often, and probably not for been a year. So just trying to learn the line and how you come up, and then the way the truck was getting tight up in the dirty air, you had to learn that, and then try to take advantage of when people got a little loose off the corner. That's when you could try to make the pass on them. But there's just a lot of learning going on through those 14 cars.
Well, you certainly took advantage of all of it here tonight as you bring home that podium finish. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just shout out to the league and shout out to you for coming on and broadcasting this for us.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us. Well, Kenneth, again, congrats on the podium, and we will see you next week at Darlington.
Okay, good night.
All right, now that's going to bring us to your second place finisher in the comeback story of the night. That's Mark Beverly. Mark, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on?
Well, man, boy, you had certainly a roller coaster of a night. You get wrecked early, trucks totaled, you're in the back, and somehow by the end of it all, you get back up to second. How did you pull that one off?
Well, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know, kind of found a little line there that was getting some speed. Wish I didn't get wrecked myself earlier in the first stage there. Might have had a shot at winning here, but overall, pretty good night. Hard to pass, just kind of got lucky with some guys ahead of me. I don't think they had enough fuel too. So overall, I was starting to catch David, and I just didn't have enough laps, and I was pushing pretty hard. I probably wouldn't have been able to pass him, but yeah, it was a good run.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, you know, next week we head to Darlington, a very technical racetrack. How are you feeling about your chances there?
That's a pretty good track for me. I feel I like running the outer rim there and seeing what you can do. You're just kind of racing the track, nobody else really. So should be fun, and excited to see some throwbacks.
Absolutely. Well, hey, it was a phenomenal comeback finish here tonight for you. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to teammates, Asphalt Outlaws. Shout out to Jay and the guys here running this league. Shout out to you putting it on YouTube for us. So.
Thank you for talking to us, of course. Again, Mark, congrats on that second place finish. One of the greatest comebacks that we've seen in a race so far this season. And we'll see you next week at Darlington.
Thanks.
All right, now that'll bring us to tonight's race winner. For Grandstand Racing, it's David Traylor. David, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, gotcha, Austin.
Well, you bring home the win tonight. Not first one of the season, but you get it at one of the crown jewel racetracks. Man, strategy call gets the job done. We talked to you at the end of stage 2. The question was, how are you going to get around your teammate? Certainly seems like you figured it out. What was the mindset in making that call? Did you save fuel early? And is that what ultimately you think led to your speed there at the end?
Yeah, there with we were probably 10 laps into that run after the last stage, and I kind of realized that I was going to need to stretch it an extra lap or two. So that's when I kind of backed off there, and the 24 went by me, and they kind of pulled out to about a second and a second and a half lead. I didn't want to lose them too much, but I wanted to make sure I was saving fuel. So found my rhythm, just saved as much as I could. I knew once they had to go in, and I was still about a lap and a half on fuel, I was feeling pretty decent. I knew they were going to pull out, having a lap pressure tires, but there after the pit, kind of just ran hard for a second there, make up some ground while I had the fresh tires, then went back into saving mode, and it worked. Thankfully, we didn't have a caution, because if we'd had a caution, I don't know if I'm the best on fresh tires, but I'm pretty good on long runs, so made it work, and we finally got the result we were looking for.
Indeed. All right, well, now that you've got your second win on the season, do you feel like as a driver you start to get that momentum built up to a point where you feel like maybe you can just start going out and doing it every week?
I'd like to hope so. I know last season it seemed like I could never get to this point, and thankfully I've got 2 of them now. So hopefully I can make it work the rest of the season. I was starting to build momentum there last season, and then had some stuff happen, had to miss the championship race. So we'll see if we can put a season together here. But 2 wins and top 5 in points right now is pretty good. We're through half the races.
Certainly is. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight to celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thanks to my teammates for racing me clean there and pushing me to go faster. Justin, Kenneth, and Sam, they're helping me out. Joined a great team over there at Grandstand. Thanks to Joey and Jay for putting this league on. Super fun. I love racing here on Saturday nights. Shout out to you. Amazing broadcast every week. I love going back and watching it. Thanks to my sponsor on the truck this week, JC Newman Cigar. kind of put my throwback paint on a little early, but the rest great supporters of mine. And then thanks to my little fan club out there watching in the other room. Got some friends over tonight. They watch the stream all night, so thanks to them, and that's about it.
Thank you for talking to us, David. Again, congrats on the win, and we'll see you next week at Darlington.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin.
All right, well, that's just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. What a great race it was, and what a win for David Traylor. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next week with more of the NOMA Truck Series at Darlington Raceway. Till next time, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. Have a good night.